You excited?
Oh, I'm excited.
Game changer.
Big time. 3 things that we have tinkered about on Jibsea here that are going to make our cruising lifestyle a heck of a lot easier and safer.
Really excited. Let's dive into it.
Welcome to Sailing Jibsea. 2 years ago, we knew nothing about sailing, but took off from Canada with an urge for adventure. I'm Steph. This is Travis, and this is our home, Jibsea. We moved quickly, and in a short time, have made it down south and even crossed an ocean. But we still have a whole lot more of the world to see. Subscribe and join our life on the water. First off, we're going to be tackling this job, which is replacing the alternator that's on our boat. This is a 90 amp that we got here. We have to replace ours, which is just a spare that we found on the boat because our old alternator just went kaput when we were back in the Netherlands. We didn't do any filming when we did the replacement of it because we had our friend Matt on board with us at the time, and we just wanted to replace it quickly and then get on with spending time with our guest. We realized afterwards that the spare we found on the boat and installed wasn't the right alternator for our boat, so we had to get a new one, which is this guy here, the 90 amper. And we're going to be installing it today.
Nice thing about alternators, they're not incredibly hard to replace, especially if you have good access. But we put the spare that we had on the boat, just figuring it was the right one for the boat if someone, previously had it on the boat. But I think it was more of a car alternator maybe? I don't know. It put out 15.1 volts. So I don't know, maybe just it was new but the regulator went in it. But sometimes it would read proper voltage, and then sometimes it'd be 15.1. So we motored for a week or so in the Netherlands canals, and then we motored a week through the Caledonian canals.
We motored a lot.
Yeah, we motored a lot. So I was a bit worried that we were going to fry our batteries. And it was only a 50 amp alternator, so it really actually only put out 35 amps on average, which is like nothing for charging for our needs, especially up here. A 90 amp alternator gives us a little more power without having to change a lot more of the wiring and components. It should just be a plug and play kind of thing.
Some elbow grease into it.
Oh, got it.
This actually took a lot longer than a normal alternator install. I had to change out the pulley, the fan, because I broke the other fan trying to pull the pulley off, and then the bolt wouldn't fit through, it was too loose, so I had to re-shiv it, drill out this. It was like so much more work than needed to be, but we made it work, so I'm glad we're going to be changing this sucker out.
All that work and it wasn't even the right one.
Yeah, it'll be okay backup, like again, but I wouldn't want to run that many hours on it, because for how intermittent it would run 15.1 volts, which is way too high of volts.
Could have melted our batteries?
Yeah, that'll fry your batteries if you run it way too long, which I'm surprised. Yeah, I don't know. It's scary, so. See ya!
There we go.
I know this is silly, but I think it's smart, especially when you get harmonic vibrations. Anytime you have a bolt and nut combo, if there's any sort of slant to the way you're adding that bolt through, so for example, if I'm putting this bolt sort of downwards, I like to have the bolt on the downward side and the nut on the bottom. In case the nut falls off, it'll still stay in place, it'll just vibrate, versus if you put the bolt going upwards and then the nut fell off, the bolt could eventually just work itself off and fly out. So, something small, but if there's any time working on a non-level hole, I guess, always put the bolt on the top side.
Tip Tuesday.
Tip Tuesday.
It's not Tuesday.
Whatever. She's back together. So yeah, I feel much more confident in that alternator versus what we had. So we'll still use that one as a dire backup, but yeah, feel confident in that guy. So on to the next.
That was a pretty quick swap.
Yeah, that was perfect. That was nice and easy. That one's nice because it has a bit more power.
We don't have a generator, an inboard generator, as some of you may be aware. So if we can't keep up with the solar, then it's just nice to have the option of charging our house batteries when we have the motor running.
Yeah, and just a little bit quicker. So, be perfect.
Moving on to the next. This is something that we got here that was very exciting for us. Very exciting for Travis.
For me, yeah. Extremely excited.
We got Starlink on board, and we finally just decided, okay, we'll eat the cost.
Yeah, I gotta bite the bullet. It's just, it's our livelihood. It's how we put these videos out. It's how we get the content. So
And that's why we're able to upload our videos in 4K right now. I know it might not look like 4K in some of the videos where it was a lot of low lighting, especially when we're doing our V-berth refit. But when we have nice lighting, it should be pretty good quality. Well, yeah, it's just having the option of being able to upload 4K. So yeah, we're really excited about it because the way that we did it before was we would search for free Wi-Fi wherever we could get it. Sometimes it wasn't the best connection to upload videos, look at weather, everything. And we had a phone plan, which I had. So we just got one SIM card. It was on my phone. Travis got internet whenever I would hotspot him.
Whenever, which was very little. She'd always say, I'm using too much data or something like that.
Yes, because it was limited. And your phone was on like auto sync or something, and he used like 5 gigs in 30 seconds.
So that was once. Okay, so, but anyways, for 2.5 years, I've never really had a phone. Like, I've never been capable of just picking it up and Googling something or looking up something or watching a video.
And then you'd forget when you actually got Wi-Fi.
And then I'd be like, I try to create this list of things I wanted to Google, and I'm like, I forgot. So it's a total game changer for me that I can just use my phone now. We haven't cruised too much, obviously, but sitting at the dock and it's been working.
We haven't cruised at all.
Okay, we haven't cruised at all since installing it, but it is quick. Like, it's fast.
So we're really happy with it. We're hoping that with everything that we've heard so far from other cruisers, that it'll really help us out when we're, you know, more than cell towers away from connection.
We bought the RV one, and it's meant to track up to 15 miles an hour, and then you'll lose the signal. Like, it just can't track the satellite that fast. But the good thing about being on a boat for us is
we don't move that fast.
We don't move that fast, ever. So we've heard of other cruisers being able to use it underway, so that'll be really exciting. Like, obviously being able to use it at a remote anchorage would be super cool. But yeah, being able to move it underway will be a cool test.
Not having to hold my phone up going, okay, like I got 1 bar of 3G here, nothing over here. It'll just be a nice change for us. So super game changer.
Big game changer.
We're going to show you how we set it up.
It's really simple, the install. Like, it's plug and play. It's just however you decide to run the wires and put the box. But we're just going to show you how we mounted it. And a little thing that I learned with our wind generator for cabling and how to make it more secure, because we've heard there's problems with their cables. They'll kind of fall out a little bit and they'll burn up. So I'm going to show you what we did.
Let's try to prevent that. Before we show you this, can we just take a minute to appreciate the fact that I need to put on sunglasses today because this is an exceptionally warm day. The sun is out and it's starting to feel like spring. It gives us a little hope that warmer weather is approaching and we can head off this dock soon. And you too, you've got to wear sunglasses too.
Yep, I do.
For all of you guys that have commented before saying that we always wear sunglasses even when it seems cloudy in our videos, it's because our eyes are super sensitive. We got LASIK eye surgery before we went sailing, but it's been so cloudy here during the winter that we actually didn't even need to wear them. So this is very exciting for us. But yeah, carry on to the Starlink.
So this is how we installed it. Just had some spare 1-inch tube and some connector pieces. Nice and secure. Hid the wires. Up here, we went and ordered a rod holder with the mount that was lower. Drilled the hole through the bottom and it just slides in nicely. It's about 1/4 inch too small, the Starlink pole that slides down, but I put foam around it to make it a little bit more secure, like some EVA foam that we had. And I added 2 pinch screws. The top pinch screws to hold the actual Starlink mount in place, so it's not going to come out anywhere. And the bottom one I lined up so it actually pinches the cable connector inside. And this only just has to be hand tight. It doesn't have to be tight, but at least because it hangs vertically, you don't want, you know, vibrations and then that connector slowly disconnecting, and then that's when you get that fry out and then it fries that cable. So I figured put it in there, hand tight that so it doesn't allow that connector to go anywhere, and that should hold it secure.
And how we've got it set up, it's obstruction free. It has the ability of spinning 360 degrees. We've also got it situated just slightly higher than our solar so that it can look past it. The only thing we might have issues with is our wind generator, but we've tested it while at anchor and it seems to be obstruction free, so we'll just see how that goes when we're actually underway. But so far, this setup has worked for us.
It's not like super custom or anything, but it works out good and it wasn't expensive. Fishing rod holder was, I think, 30 something Canadian. We just had the other stuff lying around, so good and effective, good and cheap. Welcome to the bow of the boat. I can't believe for 30 years our Winless has only been able to pick up the anchor. So we just figured that's all it was ever able to do. I didn't realize very simply that we could make our windlass an up and down automatically. It's only ever had an automatic up. So with a bit of research, all I needed was a reversing solenoid, which was really easy to find, readily available on Amazon, and super easy to wire, especially that our windlass motor, it's a 3-post style, so it was meant to go up and down. So I don't know why they never did it in the first place. Very odd. So anyways, I'm glad that we've sorted this feature out. Pretty simple to wire it up, especially with a wireless remote. And then I also wired it to our existing foot switch. So I made it so if the switch goes, we can still get it up. On coming up here and installing all this, I was looking at our windlass, like the actual gearing side of it. I was like, what's this little see-through like cap? And then I realized these things take oil, or at least this one does. So you can just kind of see it up in here. So I've just unscrewed it so I can swivel it. And notice, yeah, there's a visual port. It's like a bolt with a see-through cap. The old owner said he pulled it all apart and redid it. So that's been a couple of years ago. So I'm guessing the oil leaks. It's a 30 some odd year old gearbox. So I imagine the seals are not very good, and I can't find parts online for this thing. So either way, I cleaned it out, and I'm just gonna add some gear oil. And what I found online was like a 80-90 weight gear oil. Should do the trick. I couldn't find any specs on how much to add or anything. I didn't do an extensive research, but what I'm gonna do is add the oil, and from what I read on other models, it's halfway up on the visual side of the little see-through nut thing. That's it. Got the windlass all back together, oiled up, and put back into place. So, all I'm gonna do now is just spiffy up I'm gonna spiffy up the Jibsea and all the components, and then reassemble. So now I'm going to take you down below and show you how I wired this. So how we set this up, you have your main positive coming from your batteries, and then you run one cable going up to one of your posts. So we have F1, F2, this is ground. So ground, you run it straight to your batteries, and then you run your F1, F2, and they just go straight down to either side of the solenoid. So then you have positive coming from the battery, and then you run your two leads from there up to the motor. Then we just bought a monetary up-down switch. It has another safety on-off switch on the side, and then an in and an out. This was easy to wire as well. This box right here, it's wireless. They're pretty self-explanatory. So black and red, positive, negative, and then you have a white and yellow cable, and that just triggers which side is going to go off, allowing it to connect power to the windlass and controlling in or out. Super simple. We can leave links below on what we used, and yeah, very simple setup.
Okay, now that it's all installed, we're going to test it out. Okay, we're going to press out.
Oh, it's big of beauty!
She works!
Bring it in.
It's always been a manual release of the anchor, which means by hand. And I would leave that up to Travis to do because it was a little intimidating for me. I'd be at the helm, and when we got to the spot to drop anchor, he'd run up to the bow and manually release it.
So usually I just run up here, and we have this, which releases the clutch on the windlass, but I never liked it because it's kind of like you're fidgeting with it, and you know, after a while, if this isn't as maintained, it gets jammed and all sorts of crap. So I just started coming up here, rolling the chain off, letting it go, just like that, and I'd hold on to it. I would let it go real fast, and then when I knew I was getting close, I'd click it back over the Jibsea, and then we'd, you know, obviously stop, and then I'd snub it, put the bridle on, and we'd be good to go.
And you'd have to do it before we missed our mark too, because
Yeah,
you'd have to let it go quick.
Yeah, so if we were in a really tight anchorage, it was really hard to get to where we wanted to go and then run up and just release it and let it go. So that feature is going to be amazing. I think it'll be a game changer for us because, yeah, we can just both stay in the cockpit, let it go, get it where we want it, and then come up, put the bridle on, and it should be good.
What really sparked our interest in doing this and getting it done while here is heading into the med, we may have to med more, which means we'd have to drop the anchor while reversing the boat. And it's going to be a little bit harder if we have to manually drop it. Plus, we've never med moored before, so that would just be an added, you know, thing to worry about. So we're really happy that we've got this working.
And we still kept our up switch, obviously. We don't have it down, so I feel like up's more important. And if eventually we really like wanting to step so we can put the anchor down, then we'll get a footstep for that. But I think right now, just the remote's fine. The next project we got to figure out is, once the chain starts to fill up the locker, it starts to jam up right here and then starts to jump off the windlass. So I have a contraption that I'm thinking about making where it actually conveyor belts almost the chain over here and drops the chain directly down into the anchor locker. That's one option. Or my other option is we're going to cut out a section so that the chain can drop straight vertically down. But I wouldn't want to do that because I don't want to lose the storage that we just built down there. So we'll sort that out later date.
One thing at a time. So yeah, you guys saw how easy that was, and it's going to make all the difference for us when we're off this dock and we get a chance to drop that hook.
Can't wait to go live on the hook again.
We just need this warmer weather to keep up, not be like a fake springtime tease.
Can't wait to try out some of the new gadgets we have now. And we got some really exciting stuff coming in the next couple weeks, so definitely stay tuned for that.
Make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Leave us comments and all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next Friday.